Let's get deep. Let's get heavy. Let's explore reality. I made a video called Question, Do Americans View People from Spain as White? Answer, no. I received a comment from Rodrigo Rivero asking this question. I'm going to read it word for word. Quote, why is it so important to you guys, Spaniards, is what he's got in parentheses, to be white? Why is it so important for Spaniards, and he's calling me a Spaniard, to be white? And of course, just to clear the air, I'm an American. MyHeritage DNA test puts me somewhere around a third of Iberian DNA, around a third Spanish. So I guess that's where that's coming from. I just wanted to explain that real quick. Continuing. I love Spaniards complaining about they're white. You're not. You look Latino, at least in the South Cone. Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. Being white is pale skin, blue or green eyes, and blonde hair. Otherwise, you can be really fair skinned as I am, but you're not white. Get over it. You're Mediterranean, not Caucasian. Ask a Dutch mate, British, Russian, if they think that their Spaniard neighbors are white, end quote. So this is challenging for me, and this is confusing for me. And I think this only reinforces my understanding is that depending on who you ask, that determines who is white, including people in Spain. And I think this helps us understand a little bit the confusion of the perception of what it means to be white. Now, let me be very clear. I understand that there's really no such thing as race. It's a social construct. And these DNA tests are fun. They're entertainment. They do help teach us some things about ourselves. But ultimately, it's all imaginary, and we're going along for the ride. And I've made many videos trying to understand what exactly is a white person. I made a video with my mom where I didn't prepare her for the video. I just said I wanted to do a video. And then I asked her on camera, unrehearsed, I said, do you consider yourself to be white? She thought about it for a few seconds. It says no. My mom does not consider herself as white. And you can check out that video if you want. And I think that's very interesting. So just in case you're new here, and if you're not new here, you've heard this like 57 times. But my mother, her mother is a first generation Mexican American. But my grandmother's parents came from Michoacan, Mexico. My mother's parents, her father was a first generation Italian American born here. But her own grandparents, or my great grandparents, came over from Italy about 100 years ago. But the DNA tests reflect more of an actual background of Sephardic Jewish and Middle Eastern. But growing up in her mind, she identified as half Mexican, half Italian. Which, of course, again, if you're not in American culture, then you hear that and think, how can you be half of a nationality? But it's part of American culture that we regularly say that. We reduce ourselves to parts of these nationalities as if that's a thing. As if there really was some kind of Irish ethnicity when there's not. And I understand and accept that, but again, it's part of the lingo of American culture. So yeah, white people, that's not really a thing. It doesn't really exist. I understand that, but people are still going to carry on in their conversations as if it were real. So I think we have to give it some credibility, because if we all have a general understanding of what we think it is, then in reality, this thing we've made up and created, we've made it legitimate and it becomes real. So, what's interesting is there seems to be somewhat confusion on whether people in Spain are white. Now, from all the comments I've received, especially from people in Europe and Spain, they all seem to agree, yes, absolutely, generally, people in Spain are considered white. But yes, they have more of that Mediterranean mix, like my mom's father's side of the family. And sure, they're going to have darker features, but they're still European. So absolutely, they're still white. But then look at the comment, though. So this is where I'm just trying to figure this out. the part where he says, you're Mediterranean, not Caucasian. Now, Rodrigo Rivera, I don't know where he's from, what his perception is based on, but he's seeing me not as a Caucasian, or as we know here in the United States, as an American, or as a white person. I translate that to read, I'm not a white person. Instead, I'm Mediterranean. And in that case, a Mediterranean is different than a Caucasian. In my mind, that's saying that if you're a Greek or Italian in general, then that means you're not white, which I think throughout history, a lot of people have had that perception. And even in my own life, I've debated it. I've asked the question, if you're Greek or Italian, are you white? That's American perception. But then we would say this, here we are still having the same conversation. Are Spanish people white? And I've asked before, are Jewish people white? Well, are Middle Eastern people white? And then we get into this whole thing, well, Jewish people are Middle Eastern, so they're white. Well, there's Arabs, and it's all made up. It's all perception. So the more we talk about this, what's the real takeaway? The real takeaway is we're never really going to agree. People are going to be very confident in their perspective and beliefs on it. But when it really comes down to it, we're only going to have general concepts of what a white person is, and whether Spanish people are white. I mean, we're never going to agree because we made this thing up a long time ago. So we're arguing about perceptions and generalities. So I guess I'm confused, but I've also never been more understanding of this is really just a perception issue. What are your thoughts? They belong right here.